There is a quiet kind of question that appears in people's lives, often when they are alone in a room that should feel comforting, but doesn't. It might be late at night, the city outside half asleep, a warm lamp on, a soft chair, a cup of tea that has gone a little cold. Everything looks fine from the outside, maybe even successful. And still the question rises, almost like a whisper. If this is success, why does it feel so heavy? That question doesn't always arrive during a crisis. Sometimes it comes in the middle of an ordinary evening, after a long day that went well on paper. You did what you were supposed to do. You checked the boxes. You reached the goals you once dreamed about. Other people might even look at you and say, "You're so lucky, you've made it," or "You're living the dream." And yet, alone with your own thoughts, you feel a weight you don't know how to put into words. This is the space where the story of success quietly changes into something deeper, a story of character. When people think of Keanu Reeves and Charlize Theron, they often think of fame, red carpets, awards, and iconic roles. But on a more human level, what many people feel when they look at them is something gentler and more enduring, a sense of groundedness, a calm presence, a kind of quiet resilience that doesn't shout. Their public images, as far as we can see, seem to carry a message. No matter how bright the lights become, the core of who you are matters more than the shine around you. This isn't a story about their private lives or hidden secrets. We don't need that, and we don't have the right to it. This is a reflective story inspired by what their journeys symbolize for many people. Lives where success and pain coexist, where visibility does not erase vulnerability, and where, somehow, character still seems to stand upright even when life is anything but light. Imagine a person, not a star, not a public figure, just someone living a regular life. Let's call him Arun. Arun is not famous. He works in a demanding environment, the kind of job where results are visible and measurable. Numbers, deadlines, achievements. Over the years, he has climbed, step by step. New title, better salary, more responsibility. The markers of success are all there. One evening, after a major milestone at work, he comes home carrying a small celebration cake. His colleagues had clapped for him. His boss had praised him. A congratulatory email had gone out to the whole company. It was the kind of recognition he used to secretly hope for. He sets the cake on the kitchen counter. The house is quiet. He takes off his shoes, loosens his collar, and stands in front of the mirror in the hallway. There he is, the successful version of himself. Yet his first honest thought is not joy. It's tiredness. He stares at his own reflection and asks, not angrily, just curiously, almost like a child asking a deep question. Why doesn't this feel like I thought it would? There's no crisis, no collapse, no big dramatic moment. Just a simple, heavy silence. He makes tea, sits at the table, and opens his laptop to watch something light. Instead, he stumbles onto a short interview. Keanu Reeves is speaking. The tone is calm, thoughtful. There is something in his eyes that looks both kind and familiar, a quiet acceptance that life is complicated, that joy and grief can sit at the same table. In another clip, Charlize Theron speaks with steady honesty about her experiences, about pain, growth, and responsibility. There's no performance in her voice, just a straightforward recognition that life can be harsh and still meaningful. Arun watches for a few minutes. He doesn't know these people, and they don't know him. But in their manner, in the way they carry themselves, he recognizes something he has been missing in his own life. Not success, but an inner steadiness. He closes the laptop and sits in the stillness of his kitchen. The cake is there. The tea is there. The recognition is there. What he has been building outwardly has not always matched what he has been building inwardly. That night, for the first time, he separates those two lines in his mind. The line of success, promotions, praise, results. The line of character, patience, kindness, integrity, how he treats people and himself when no one is watching. He realizes that for years he has carefully measured the first line and quietly ignored the second. As he reflects, old memories return to him. The times he chose work over friendship. The times he felt empty even while climbing. The times he broke small promises to himself, about health, about rest, about being present, because success needed to come first. Nothing terrible. Nothing that would make headlines. Just the slow, unnoticed erosion of his own center. He sits with the discomfort, not trying to escape it. There is no sudden transformation, no overnight clarity. Only a gentle awareness. Maybe the weight I feel isn't from success itself. Maybe it's from trying to carry it with a weak inner foundation. He remembers a story he once heard about a building with a beautiful glass facade. From the outside, it looked modern and perfect. But inside, the pillars were poorly maintained. Over time, small cracks began to appear in places no one could see. It didn't collapse in a spectacular way. It just became less safe, less stable, more difficult to trust. Arun sees the parallel with his own life. His outer world, the facade, is impressive. But the inner pillars of his character need attention. He thinks again of people like Keanu Reeves and Charlize Theron, not as distant celebrities, but as human beings who, from what is publicly known, have carried both success and sorrow. The reason their names feel comforting to some people is not because of their perfection, but because of their humanity. We see in them a possible way to survive visibility and pain without becoming bitter or hollow. Arun asks himself quietly, what does it mean for me to carry success with character? The answer doesn't come in words right away. It comes as small images. Apologizing sincerely when he is wrong. Treating the intern with as much respect as the CEO. Saying no to a project when his health is at risk, not out of laziness, but out of self-respect. Showing up for a friend even when it's inconvenient. Bringing gentleness into rooms where pressure is normal. He realizes that character is not a performance. It's not public image management. It's the private alignment between his values and his actions. He thinks about how easy it is to be kind when life is calm, and how much more meaningful that kindness is when life is heavy. It's one thing to smile on a good day. It's another to remain thoughtful and compassionate when everything in you wants to collapse inward. As the days go by, he begins to pay attention to that subtle difference, the difference between looking successful and feeling grounded. The real test comes in small, unremarkable moments. One afternoon, a mistake is made on a project. Not by him, but by someone on his team. It costs time and may cost money. His first instinct is to protect his image, to point out clearly that the error was not his. After all, he worked hard to get where he is. Why should he take responsibility for someone else's failure? He feels the familiar tension inside, the desire to stay light by shifting the weight onto someone else. He pauses, takes a breath. He thinks again of that late-night question. If this is success, why does it feel so heavy? And then another quiet thought appears. Maybe it feels heavy because I keep trying to make sure all of the weight lands anywhere but my own heart. Not the weight of blame, but the weight of shared responsibility, of leadership, of kindness. So he does something small but significant. In the meeting, he speaks calmly. He explains the mistake without attacking the person behind it. He says, "We could have caught this earlier. Let's see how we can improve this together." He doesn't deny his own role in the oversight. He doesn't hide behind his position. The room feels different, less fearful, more human. On paper, it's a minor event, but inside, something steady grows. By choosing character over image, he feels a little lighter. Not because the work is easier, but because he is no longer fighting against himself. Another day, he receives praise from a senior leader. The email is full of compliments. It's the kind of message that used to make his heart race with pride and anxiety. This time, he reads it slowly and lets it sink in without clinging to it as proof of his worth. He replies with gratitude, then closes his laptop and goes for a long, quiet walk. On that walk, he considers a simple idea. Success is what the world can measure. Character is what only I can truly know. The applause, the numbers, the recognition, these things can be seen. They come and go. They depend on timing, luck, other people's opinions. But his character, his way of moving through the world, belongs to him in a way nothing else does. He notices that when he roots his sense of self only in success, he feels constantly unstable. If the numbers go up, he feels high. If they fall, he feels low. His mood and identity swing like a pendulum. But when he roots his sense of self in character, in how he treats others, in how honestly he faces his own fears, in how gently he can hold his own imperfections, he feels more consistent, more anchored. He still cares about success. He still works hard. But something fundamental shifts. Success is no longer the measure of his value, only the outcome of his efforts. It stops being a source of identity and becomes a tool he can use to contribute to the world in his own way. He realizes that many people he admires share this same quiet posture. From what is visible publicly, people like Keanu Reeves and Charlize Theron seem to carry their achievements with a kind of humility. Their stories, as far as the world knows them, include difficulties that no amount of status can erase. And yet, there is a sense that they live with an understanding. Life doesn't promise safety, but it does offer meaning, especially when we respond with integrity. Arun begins to see that deep down, the people we respect most are not necessarily the most successful, but the most human in their success. The ones who do not let their achievements define or distort them. The ones who can say, yes, I have done well in some things, and also, I am still learning, still vulnerable, still imperfect. Months pass. The outer picture of Arun's life doesn't change dramatically. He still has the same job, the same routines, the same circle of acquaintances. But his inner experience of everything slowly transforms. He starts to measure his days differently. Instead of only asking, "What did I achieve today?" he also asks, "How did I show up today? Was I present? Was I fair? Was I kind, both to others and to myself?" Sometimes the honest answer is no. On those days, he feels the old habits tug at him, the need to justify, to rush, to ignore his own conscience. But now, instead of denying his shortcomings, he lets himself feel the discomfort, not as self-hatred, but as a signal, as an invitation to grow. He learns that character is not something you simply have or don't have. It is something you practice, again and again, in ordinary circumstances, in the way you listen, in the way you speak, in what you do when the world is not watching. He also begins to see that the heaviness he once blamed on success was partly an internal imbalance. He had built a tall structure on shaky emotional ground. By tending to his inner life, through reflection, through honest conversations, through small acts of courage, he is slowly reinforcing his foundation. Success still weighs something. Responsibility still weighs something. But now, he is stronger from within. The weight doesn't crush him in the same way. There is another quiet realization that comes to him one weekend as he sits in a cafe, watching people pass by the window. He notices how many lives are happening at once. The older woman hesitating at the crosswalk. The young couple laughing over something on a phone. The delivery driver hurrying past, hands full. The teenager sitting alone, headphones in, eyes far away. All of them are carrying something. Some visible, some invisible. Some are carrying hopes. Some are carrying worry. Some carry a history of loss. Some carry a bright ambition. He realizes that success, in the way the world usually defines it, belongs to only a few. But character, the choice to respond with honesty, empathy, and courage, is available to everyone, in any situation, at any stage of life. In that sense, character is more democratic than success. It does not depend on your job, your income, your status, or your followers. It lives in the space between your circumstances and your response to them. He finishes his coffee and understands something simple yet profound. When success feels heavy, it's a reminder that I need something stronger than success to carry me. I need character. Years later, he will look back at that night with the celebration cake and the laptop open to interviews. Not as a dramatic turning point, but as the beginning of a new kind of question in his life. Instead of asking, "How can I become more successful?" he now asks, "How can I become more myself in a way I can respect?" Sometimes that means working harder. Sometimes it means resting deeper. Sometimes it means speaking up. Sometimes it means staying silent. There is no neat formula, only an ongoing relationship with his own conscience. He learns to live with paradox, to be grateful for his success without worshipping it, to acknowledge his pain without letting it define him, to accept that life can be good and difficult at the same time. The people around him notice subtle changes. He is still ambitious, but less frantic. Still focused, but kinder. Still driven, but not as easily shaken by praise or criticism. It's as if something inside him has settled. And when he thinks again of figures like Keanu Reeves and Charlize Theron, he doesn't see them as distant icons. He sees them as fellow travelers on this strange path where human beings must carry both the brightness of opportunity and the darkness of reality. He thinks, maybe what moves us about such people is not that they are flawless, but that they remind us of something we wish to grow in ourselves, a dignity that survives both success and hardship. In the end, the lesson that unfolds in Arun's life is not flashy or complicated. It's almost ordinary in its truth. Success can add weight to your life. It can bring pressure, expectation, and constant comparison. If you chase it without building character, the weight crushes you or distorts you. But if you cultivate character through humility, empathy, integrity, and patience, that same weight can become bearable, even meaningful. Because character is not only what carries your success. It is what carries you when your success fades, changes, or is taken away. One quiet evening, much like that first one, Arun sits alone again. Another milestone has passed. Another email of praise has arrived. He feels tired, but not empty. Weighted, but not buried.